dear friends, I hope you are doing well. Why is it that so many students, despite their overt mastery of the contents of courses in preparation for their exams, end up obtaining unsatisfactory grades? What do teachers consider when they read a piece of writing submitted by a student? What seems to be missing in students' preparations for their exams? This video addresses these questions with a couple of illustrative examples. Many of us as students know of a classmate who has come out of the classroom very satisfied with the questions and very satisfied with his or her answers, only to find out that the grade was far lower than was expected. Specifically when it comes to content courses, and here lies the problem, so many students concentrate only on what to say, as though the teacher would look only for information. And there is a very high likelihood that this is the missing link in students' preparation. But there is hardly anything done on the part of the students when it comes to preparation through writing. There are so many students who attend classes regularly, they participate, they can answer all sorts of questions. In other words, they master the contents. But because they do not apply the rules of writing, for example, the writing of a paragraph, they end up obtaining sometimes a very unsatisfactory grade. So what the teacher considers in reading your paper is not just the content, but also the form. After all, why is it that at the English department you study paragraph writing, you study composition 1, and then composition 2, and then advanced writing? It's because academic writing necessitates that these skills that you have covered be applied in your written production, your essays, your paragraphs, your end-of-study projects. What would be the utility of these courses if they are not applied? It does not make any sense, ladies and gentlemen, to be an S5 or an S6 student without a good mastery of these skills. So many students, unfortunately, have this hidden assumption that it is one thing to answer questions on the composition exam and quite another to answer questions on a morphology or syntax, semantics exam, etc. It is this missing link that contributes to the low grades that we see among students. Many of our students surprise us with their answers in class. Many of them can ask questions that are not only pertinent, but also intellectually very stimulating. But on the day of the exam, the story is different. What is the implication here? The implication here, ladies and gentlemen, is that, number one, whatever we study in S1 and S2 will have a bearing on the quality of our writing later on. We do not study these courses only to validate. We study them because there is a reason behind. And this reason resides in the fact that the student has to write academically acceptable pieces of writing. At the level of the master's, the level of the doctorate, no surprise that there are things that we do in S1 and S2 that will be of use in the doctorate. This is a tip. When we prepare for our exams, whatever course, part of it needs to be in the form of discussion because we need to master the contents, etc. But the other part is to prepare by means of writing, by expressing oneself, expressing those ideas in the written form. The student has to get some training on how to express the ideas in answer to a given question in the form of a paragraph. Here comes the importance of what you studied in S1 and S2 in relation to paragraph writing rules like having the topic sentence, supporting information, along with concrete examples and a concluding sentence. It is deplorable that, for example, in syntax, when the students are asked to answer in the form of a paragraph, all that they do is recite what they have learned somewhere else. I will provide a couple of examples in your course. But allow me please to add this point here. English department students are not absolved of responsibility when it comes to the production of academic English. The difference between an English department student and a student in another school, say economics, law, or from the Faculty of Sciences, is that the mistakes of the letter, that is to say faculties like Faculty of Sciences, for example, or law, their mistakes can be tolerated to some level. But for an English department student, no, because that's what you are after. That's your main mission, is to study English, and you're supposed to master advanced writing skills by the time you obtain your BA. So many S6 students will turn out to be teachers in a few months. Remember also, ladies and gentlemen, that when you submit your candidacy for admission to a master's program, usually there is a test, and the test comes in the written form. If the professors evaluating your candidacy find out that you do not know even how to write a paragraph, or you have missed out on certain paragraph or essay writing rules, then they will summarily reject your candidacy. The same can be said of the doctorate program. All in all, when we prepare for an exam, the fact is that we need to prepare the content, also the form. To discuss with friends or engage in some monologue. Different students have different preparation strategies. That should be considered only 50% of the task. The other 50% should be by having this hands-on experience. You assume that you are in an exam. You time a given question that you can think up. There are chances that you might think up a question that will be the one that will appear, a form of it at least, will appear in the exam. After all, where do you think the professors get questions from? It's from what they teach you. So try to automatize writing a paragraph, writing an essay. Try to time yourself. That's how you develop this skill. Otherwise, if we rely only on mastering the content and we assume that we know some English and we will try to write anything in whatever format, no, that will not be accepted. Now let's move on to expose a couple of examples, one concerning an essay and the other concerning a paragraph. Just imagine that in Introduction to Linguistics, for example, there is a question like, what is the difference between an inflectional morpheme and a derivational morpheme? Many students would, and this is out of experience, the students would come and start reciting, okay, an inflectional morpheme is, etc., and then a derivation morpheme is, and then they move on to the other question. No. A good paragraph is one that has a topic sentence. To the question as to what the difference is between the derivation morpheme and the inflection morpheme, a good topic sentence can be something like, there are a few differences between the inflectional morpheme and the derivational morpheme. Or, the inflectional morpheme and the derivational morpheme differ in a number of ways. Full stop. This is a topic sentence, and I leave it to you to think of other topic sentences. It's just an example. And then you move on. You can put a full stop and then immediately after write first, comma, the inflectional morpheme conveys grammatical information, etc. Or the first difference resides in, etc. And after you are done with this, you put a full stop and then you think of providing a concrete example. This is something that is consistently observed among students in students writing, especially in the field of linguistics. In answering questions, students just write general statements. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to think of providing concrete examples. You assume that the professor does not know anything about the topic. You assume that he or she knows only English. So be there to start from what is general, the topic sentence, and then narrow down, okay, the line of reasoning until you are on the most specific point, which is the illustration. When you provide concrete examples, you have illustrated the point. And then you move on to the second point, a second difference between, etc., or apart from conveying grammatical information, comma, the inflectional morpheme, and then you continue. Well, as concerns, or later on, and then after you develop this, you provide a concrete example, you move on to the third point, and then the concluding sentence. That's the first example. The second example can be taken from general linguistics. If the question is, for example, write an essay in answer to the following question: what are the main points of difference between functionalism and generativism? Here the student has to think, because the question says answer in the form of an essay. Sometimes the instruction is in the form of a short essay. Whatever the case, there is the word essay. So you need an introduction, and in this you need an introduction, and you need an introduction which looks much like the introduction to an essay that you covered in S3 in composition 2. So we need to start to set the scene, start with a general idea, narrow down these ideas until we are on a thesis statement. Thesis statement usually comes at the end of the introductory paragraph, and it is in the thesis statement that the student needs to show that he or she is addressing the question. Otherwise, the professor who reads your paper will assume that you are missing the point. So please be careful when it comes to these things. Please understand that what you studied in composition, and then the course advanced writing is 4. Otherwise, they don't have any raison d'être. Thank you very much.